Hi everyone, I'm Donnell McAdams from Sew Donnell on Facebook and Template Quilting with Donnell McAdams on YouTube. So today what I'm here to explain to you is straight grain of fabric. And this is something that's very important when you're working with quilts, and it may be totally different than anything that you've ever heard. So let's have a look at this piece of fabric here. This is a piece that is 9 inches wide, 1/4 yard, and it has been cut. So I cut it on this side and I cut it on this side. In other words, off of the bolt, I just cut with my rotary cutter and ruler. And I want to show you what a difference it will make when you tear your fabric. Now, if the place that you purchase fabric does not tear, you may need to purchase a little bit more fabric so that when you go home, you can tear it. So this piece was torn. Now you'll notice that it's not straight down here and it's not straight down there, but when I pull this and lay it on top of each other, it is truly 1/4 yard of fabric. Now, to work with this, what you're going to do is when it comes off of the bolt and it's been torn and it looks like that, this is a short end and this is a short end. So let me show you that again. This is one that's short and this is. Now, this is only 1/4 yard. If I had a 3-yard piece, I would need to have someone help me do this next thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fingers and hold this piece and fingers and hold that piece, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a stretch. And because it's now in straighter grain and pulled on grain, it will lay just like you want it. Now I want to get this, I can't reach that far, but I'm going to get it on grain. So now what you would do to be working on your quilt would, first of all, you'd lay your ruler on here and cut off like 1/4 inch, because it does show a little bit of ravels. You can see this. And by the way, let me tell you a little hint while we're talking about it. If you are going to pre-wash this fabric or any fabric that you're going to pre-wash, take these corners. You can actually take the corners just like that, and you would clip them off, and then that will keep it from fraying in the laundry and in the dryer. So that's just another little hint. But now, after you cut this off, you're going to go ahead and rotary cut just like you would your strips, your blocks, your pieces, whatever, and they're all going to be on grain. Now let me explain it a little bit further by taking this piece and showing you what I mean. So this is cut by using a rotary cutter, and it's cut 9 inches wide. I'm going to come in here about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to give it a little cut and tear it so you can see how much difference there is. You can see here that when that's torn to get it on grain, you have just lost about 3 to 4 inches of that 1/4 yard. So if I went to the other side, or I flip this over and show you, this right now is on straight of grain, but I can go ahead and start working by cutting that 1/4 inch off with my rotary cutter, but you can see I'm not getting as much useful fabric. So I use this one to show that I glued these together. This is the cut edge and this is the torn edge, and you can see how much that is off. And so if you look at this one, I made it a little bit bigger cut, still the same. It's that much off. So if you're not going to have the opportunity to purchase it torn, in other words, they tear it at the store, you're going to want to purchase about, depending on how much you need, you're going to purchase about at least 1/6 yard more, and that way you can actually tear it when you get home. Now this is even more important when you're purchasing backing, the 108 inch wide, the 110, 90 inch wide. You would want the person who is selling it to you to cut from one selvage to the, tear from one selvage to the other, and then measure out your 3 yards or 2.5 or whatever, and cut from one selvage and tear to the, cut at one selvage and tear to the other side. Because grain is very important in how fabric works. So like in this case, I'm going to just pull this back with one layer and show you this is the bias. And you'll notice on the bias, I can really pull that. So on the straight, no, it's not going to stretch. So if you've got your blocks cut just any old way, you have probably set yourself up for some problems when you're stitching them together. So that's just a little bit of information as to why we like to tear to get our fabric on straighted grain. Not many stores tear anymore, so you might want to purchase extra. I know I always tear my fabric when I sell it just because of that very fact. So if you were to purchase a kit from SewBiz, I can tell you that you may have it cut, but when we started making the kits, we tore it and then worked from there and cut it. Because if I measure over 3 inches here or 4 inches or whatever and use a straight cutter with my rotary and ruler, I'm still going to have perfect grain. The first one was torn and then it works off of that. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please email me at sewbiz@indy.rr.com. Thank you.